Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for another Ageless Living Collaborative webinar. This afternoon, we are going to tackle the topic that often frightens people, but shouldn't: technology, specifically how technology is improving life for seniors. I'd like to introduce today's panel. We have two guests today. One is Carrie Schwarz of Pivotal Health Technology. The second is Allison Wolf from Shaw. Allison is Director of Healthcare and Senior Living Markets. Carrie has spent a lot of time in the wearable technology arena, and you will see in a little bit how Pivotal Health Technology is bringing some really interesting product to the senior market. Also on today's webinar are our core collaborators, Lisa Sinney, CEO of Mosaic Design, and Alicia Jones, President of West End Interiors. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We will have 1 hour for this rather robust topic, so I am hoping we'll get a lot done. We'll also have questions and answers throughout the session. So if anybody who is watching would like to send us a question, we will answer it on the air. We're going to start with, I think, the pivotal question: are seniors more receptive to technology as a result of the pandemic? Alicia, would you please kick us off?
Absolutely. Yes, I think while the pandemic has been such a challenging time for all of us, recent studies are showing that seniors have turned to technology up to 300% more than they were before the pandemic. So that just goes to show you there can be positive things that come out of it. I know it probably was a major challenge with seniors and elderly people needing to communicate and connect with their family members. So I feel like that was maybe the initial push to learning.
So you think it was really need-based?
Right. And then that I feel like led into the telehealth appointments, virtual appointments that was then scheduled with doctors versus going into doctor's appointments. So where that most definitely was an area that seniors and residents at senior living communities maybe were more reluctant to jump in on. I think the pandemic sort of forced them into learning these new ways, new for them, new areas of technology for them. And now I think that it's just gone like wildfire, and the seniors are really enjoying it. There are online communities that they're connecting with, which I think we'll touch on a little bit more later. But just overall, seniors have really dove in and accepted this fearful thing that was technology.
Well, I think that a big round of applause goes to the caregivers in helping facilitate that too, because for so many seniors, they did not know how to operate an iPad or do a FaceTime or Zoom with an entire extended family. And certainly it was caregivers, because they were the ones kind of locked in with everybody, who could help show them the way. So that was a big piece of it too, I think. Lisa, what technologies have you seen your clients pick up since the pandemic?
I think the telemedicine piece is huge, but also making sure that you can play games with family. So, a little bit more of chatting, and then wearables was a big deal as well. I see Zoom as being, kind of something that, when cable first came about, no one knew what that was really about, because you had ABC, NBC, and CBS, and right. Then cable was a new word, and Zoom has become one of those words. It's connected us, and it's fairly easy to operate and gets everybody on the same picture. So like we're doing today. So those are some of the simple technologies, but the wearables, Zoom, and any kind of connected thing.
Well, you're talking about wearables, and that means that I absolutely have to ask Carrie about the wearables, right? So since COVID, seniors have really learned that they have to seek other methods to find information that they need. And so wearables is a great place to start. Carrie, can you share with us some of the information they can glean from that and why it's important
Sure.
for seniors?
I actually think that seniors are more engaged than ever with wearables. And before the pandemic, I think people were more focused on blood pressure and heart rate. And now everyone wants to know what their temperature is and their oxygen. And so we've included that, but that is, I think that's going to continue in the future. And definitely telemedicine is a key part of this. So being able for your biosensors to be monitored by your wrist, by your caregiver, or even yourself is really core right now. And I think it's going to continue in the future.
How easy is it for a senior to utilize that? I see what looks like an app for a wearable. How easy is it for seniors to utilize that technology?
I think I might be able to speak to that because Carrie's going to talk from, a standpoint of a vendor and a designer. But if you go back to the previous slide, this is my parents. These are my parents. So, they're okay at adopting. I kind of force a lot of things on them, but she sent these to me. I put them on and got the app working. And I have not had one phone call in 4 days.
Wow, that's
so that's all I'm saying. I haven't had one phone call in 4 days. And what the text not working, this is not, or whatever, nothing. They've got it. A matter of fact, I got one phone call and it was to ask me, did I want to go for a walk in the park? Because now they're measuring their steps and they're seeing how kind of lethargic that they were.
Right.
And it's also given them confidence. Because my dad has COPD, he has to wear oxygen at night, and he saw his oxygen levels and he felt more confident and more vibrant. And that's a really positive thing that I don't think we talk about.
I think that's really extraordinary.
I'm thrilled to hear it because it really does speak to the need. And I if it's something that is non-stigmatizing, everyone wears wearables now. So,
right.
I think it's really engaging. So I'm thrilled to hear that. And I do think it's going to help seniors maintain activity. It's also important. Some of them have their own connectivity. So you don't even have to have your phone on you. You can just talk right from your wrist, which is also going to be very helpful with telemedicine.
I think that there's a competitive piece to it also, because once seniors start wearing and reading their watches, like Lisa's parents, they're going to want to have more steps than the other one, right? And so there's a great health benefit beyond the safety benefit.
Absolutely. So, well, I'm thrilled to hear that they're enjoying it.
They're loving it. And that says a lot for, two people in their 80s that have been married for, over 60 years. So.
Yay. I want to stay with that safety part of technology with regard to seniors and senior living. And I want to talk to Allison and have her share with us something very exciting and new that is coming out of Shaw Contract and how technology is now entering the flooring conversation. Allison?
Yeah, it absolutely is, Phoebe. And as a flooring provider to senior care environments, we really took a step back and we really started to think about what else a floor could do in these spaces. We already have components built in that address lots of the things in a space, but we really went to an innovative mindset to come up with an idea about how we could incorporate a safety type product into the floor. So we have a product called Soul with Sense Floor Technology. And it's really a result of that expanded thinking. And it really does rethink what a floor can add to a space in senior care.
That's fantastic. Well, tell us a little bit more about this technology, if you would, because this is very unique And I believe that we've seen nothing like it in this country before. At least I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, so Soul really answers the question of dignity for residents, peace of mind for families, and then also supports the care initiatives inside of a community. At its true basic nature, it is a flooring sensor system that combines with that performance floor on the top. And its function is to provide information to caregivers that can go through and supplement the care that they provide. So, and you can see on the image here, it is installed as a system together. It uses capacitive sensing technology, so it's not pressure based. And it helps to send alerts about movement tracking. And I think we actually have a couple of additional movement pieces attached to this. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is an example of the types of tracking you can get on activity for a whole day. So you're seeing instances of where the resident is moving about their room, maybe back and forth to the bathroom. There's actually a fall marked, and this is how the resident is identified in the room, and there is the fall that is actually marked. It will, because
is there a monitor somewhere? Is there a central monitor so somebody knows within a community, oh, man down?
Yeah, so it does connect to a central monitor, and then it can also be transferred to mobile devices or incorporated in with existing nurse call systems. So it really depends on what technology already exists in the community about how they want to link everything up. And each sensor can be individually programmed. So if you know you've got a wanderer who is going to cross that door threshold, and you want to know, you can set that individual sensor to let you know when that threshold is crossed.
Wow.
So lots and lots of applications here.
So this is an application today for the communities. Is there anything in the future that might be able to be adapted for residential? Is that a potential?
Yeah, so you're seeing pictures on the screen now that Lisa provided. We're working on a project together, so I'll invite Lisa to kind of add a little bit of color to this. But yes, absolutely, we're exploring lots of markets on this right now. We feel the most comfortable within those community environments, but we're looking forward to exploring that.
Oh, that's so this is my house that I'm renovating, and it's an aging in place model. The photograph on the left that kind of looks like spider webs is the sensors, and how it was explained to me, and Allison can tell me if I'm wacky or not, but the technology that's on your phone, that's like I guess it's moisture content in your hand or whatever. Sometimes mine gets too cold and I have to, on it to get my phone to work. So it reads the moisture content in your body and goes where you go. One of the cool things about that is that it's not like a camera. So it's not surveillance. And they also don't allow anybody to have that data but you. So if I'm correct in this. So it's one of the only data mining, which is, tracking devices that has positives, but it's really nothing's going to get leaked out, and you can protect your own data. You don't have to worry about that. One of the things that I love is I'm hooking it up to the lights in the bathroom. So when you get out of bed, it'll automatically tell those lights to turn on. That's pretty cool, nice. Right?
It has all of those smart floor attributes, then with the added safety features that are just fantastic.
And then we're taking it into some of the bathrooms with LVT flooring, because falls happen a lot in bathrooms, more often than anywhere else. Doing it on carpet and LVT and experimenting with a bunch of different things. But I've just been super impressed. One of the other things that I was worried about as a designer, there's like literally no thickness to it. Like, so you don't notice anything. And it was a super simple installation. Flooring can sometimes get complex, and this was really easy. So I love the benefits of it, the ability to track, the ability that if grandma got up 5 times in the middle of the night, I could have it set with an if this, then that alert versus 2 times, which is her normal. So some really big positives, and it's a game changer.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I can't wait for it to be available to everybody because it just makes so much sense and it's so safe. It will put a lot of peace of mind to so many families. And the fact that you can communicate maybe with a phone or with a watch or some other device, and a family member immediately knows that somebody might be in trouble is just a remarkable thing. So yay, very exciting. Lisa, what technologies would you say help seniors with loneliness? And, are there any specific products that you've seen?
So I think anything that helps somebody communicate better. I think we really undervalue hearing, especially in the United States. And healing increases falls, it causes paranoia. You're very increased for dementia or Alzheimer's if you have a hearing loss.
Mhm.
So anything that we can do to help someone hear better. So I love communication devices like you have shown, like an iPad or a tablet or even a smartphone. I absolutely love that. The watches, but people have to be able to hear. So anytime you can connect it to a hearing aid, or
Mhm.
you can put earbuds in, the environment is 100 times better. So
Mhm.
when you don't have to, judge what someone's saying and kind of play along, like I noticed my dad was playing along for a while. Like I mentioned, my mom and dad have been married for, I think over 60 years, maybe 65 years. And at one point they were probably ready to get divorced because he couldn't hear. And so when they were driving, she just would write it on a sticky note and slap it on the dashboard because she was just so tired of like the argument that you didn't tell me that. So I think when we can combine technologies, whether it's glasses, a wearable, something that data mines and sends you an alert to say, hey, you might want to call mom.
Mhm.
She got up like a bunch of times in the middle of the night. Or do video chat. I think it's a positive thing. And I think all the technologies, when they're a winner, people adopt them.
Mhm. Mhm. Agreed.
That's why the
Agreed.
remote control worked. That wasn't the easiest thing to learn how to do, but it was a lot easier than yelling at your kid to go change the channel.
True, true. I want to interrupt for a second. We've got a couple of questions and some comments. Annette Smith would like us to repeat the product. So we need to repeat the product. And we also have somebody who says, what brand of wearable did Lisa's parents have? The ease of use sounds great. We can put it up on the screen again. And also I'd like to direct you to the website, our website, agelesslivingcollaborative.org. If you have questions that are product specific, because we aren't sponsored by anybody, we ask you to go to the website and then we will in turn answer your question about specific product through the website. So again, agelesslivingcollaborative.org, and just pose a question to any one of the panelists who are with us today about any particular device, and they will get back to you on the name, the cost, where you can find it, all those fun things. So next up, Alicia, we want to talk about technology assisting folks during the pandemic and afterwards, and the ongoing challenge of labor shortage. And that might sound like a bizarre question, but certainly when you've got technology, you add another layer that helps people not to have to go and do different things, right? So you might not have to run to the hospital or to the doctor to get your blood pressure if you have something at home. So Alicia, talk to us about these labor shortages.
Well, it is a worldwide issue, and especially in senior living environments. So there's been, as a result of that, a big surge of robotic electronic aids that are being designed for senior living environments. And people have mixed feelings about that because they're so impersonable and they're robotic. But at the same time, what it's doing and what it will continue to do as we see more of this and more AI, artificial intelligent, robotic, again, electronic aids happen in our environments, especially in senior living, you're going to find more caregivers available for the one-on-one communication, spending more time with the residents, where the robots and the AI devices, they're gathering information. They are possibly teaching an exercise class, teaching a program, while the caregiver can, again, go around the room one-on-one and discuss and, take care of a more personal communication with the residents. So it's freeing up our need and the ongoing need of more caregivers in our senior living environments, and giving it back to, putting all of that on AI devices and robotic devices, and freeing up what labor that we do have out there to be more communicative with not only the residents, but with family members.
How many communities have devices like this right now, approximately?
I would say 10%.
Okay, so it's new.
Yeah, it's very new. Some of the devices that you saw on a few slides before this one, this kind of interaction, these are actually mobility aids, where they are assisting the residents with walking, with some signal going to the restroom when they know and sense it's time to go to the restroom. So it triggers that, and then also allows them to go to the restrooms on their own. There was an image with the shower, and this image in particular is one where you're having the telehealth appointment with the doctor, and you've got added pieces that you can place on your device, your laptop, that can actually take your pulse and do different things like that. These are being developed now. I don't know, probably still 10 years away.
Okay,
Here
so
you're
these
seeing,
that we're looking at right now are not
right,
available.
no.
Okay.
Here you're seeing them being more active on low impact sports due to the mobility devices that they're connected to. And then family members are projected so they can be there and be a part of it, even though they're not truly there.
Right.
So it's new, it's very innovative, but just like it's been a challenge for residents to get more connected with Zoom and with technology, this is just another phase that they're going to learn and experience, and I feel like come to enjoy and love.
Well, it's certainly the next step beyond virtual reality. I know, Lisa, you've done a
Exactly.
lot with virtual reality,
Yeah.
and that's here right now. Do you want to, I know we weren't talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah, no,
but
sure.
why don't we talk about it for a minute? It's part of the technology.
So virtual reality, actually, oddly enough, I have one right here. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't because of the background. So anyways, if I put it on my face, this is an Oculus, and I would, take off my glasses and put it on. What happens with this is that literally I can be inside of an art studio and draw. I can have any kind of body I want or avatar. I can go on an archaeological dig. I can enjoy Cleopatra's tomb, literally. They've, mapped the whole thing. And I can be with other people and interact. It's not a singular idea. Where they're moving, and probably going to be in the next, I'd say 2 to 3 years, is that instead of this thing that you see here that is solid, even though it has a camera on it,
Right,
this will be clear. Now this right here, this piece, the Oculus, when I turn it on and I go outside of the boundaries, I set up a boundary so I make sure I don't hit anything, I can actually see the whole room. So it gives me that perception, which it didn't used to, so that I'm not scared to death that I'm going to, you know, hit something. The next step is really being able to shift it like a dimmer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how far do I want it? Do I want to see everybody? Do I want it an overlay like Alicia showed? That it might be the room, but I have an overlay of my family.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when you're doing that is then we start wearing them as normal glasses, right? A little bit bigger, but normal glasses. And it says, oh, by the way, you're supposed to turn left here, and it's your blinkers in your eyes. By the way, you forgot to call so-and-so back, and, you know, all kinds of great things that you can do. And it should be liberating. None of this technology should be hard. It should be like Carrie's or like Allison's, like Soul, or the, you know, the wearables. It should be liberating and not a pain for you. And when we do that, you know, that's when it's a win.
Right, right. Well, I think all of these are definitely a win. And I do remember when we started with the VR, how much fun it was before we realized beyond the fun, there's, you know, great resource to help people, even if it's for them to travel, like you said, to an archaeological dig, or if they want to go to Italy or wherever. It does a lot of things. And so that technology is almost as important as even a wearable that tells us how healthy you are or how many steps you have taken in a day, because it gives us more information and it frees us a little bit, right?
One other thing that it does that I don't think that most people talk about it is one of the biggest benefits for it is empathy training.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using it a lot where you put on the virtual reality glasses and the sensations are such that you're a senior. You might not be able to see as well, or you might have macular degeneration, your mobility. So helping a caregiver understand who they're helping and being a lot more sensitive for it. It's just like being pregnant and seeing somebody else pregnant. You're like, oh, I understand the restrooms are over there. So, you know, it's got benefits for everyone.
Right, right. I'm going to take a question. This is from Faith. She wants to know, what products do you know that work to connect TV audio to earbud type devices? Are there such?
There are. You can have induction looping technology. You can also, depending on whether you're in a senior living home or you're at home, there's some earbuds that will actually do that through Bluetooth. So, and then you can get headsets. A lot of the headsets, you can do it with a hard jack as well. You can even do it with a piano if it's a digital hybrid piano like Yamaha has.
Wow. Now that would be interesting if we could take that and we could take like the piano from, you know, FAO Schwartz from the movie, right? And put that into Allison's flooring. Do you think Shaw could do that? Could they give us a keyboard on the floor? That would be pretty fun.
Well, we certainly have a very creative innovation team that works on all sorts of things. So we'll put that on the list.
Okay, I think that would be fun. You know, one of the things we really didn't talk about, and I think it's important for people to understand with this really cool floor that does everything except for the dishes, that there needs to be an infrastructure in place for it. And, you know, how complex is that? Can you tell us a little bit about that, Allison?
Yeah, so part of, you know, the conversations that we have is really just exploring what the community has at its disposal to use. So there is primarily an Ethernet connection that will have to be utilized, and they all have that pretty much now as a part of the systems that they already have. We know that Wi-Fi is a challenge in some communities. I think we're moving closer to hopefully getting that solved, and so that begins to bring in the ability to connect mobile in with the technology. And then I think just looking at all the different systems that they have in place and how they're combining with their operational protocols and procedures to really make sure the community gets the most out of everything that they've already got, because all of these things, the Soul with Sense Floor technology system, the nurse call system, these are all assets that community expects to be able to gain some return on over time that will live and be there for a while. So this technology was thoughtful in that regard. You know, it's got some coordination built into it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we understand that it was thoughtful, and we understand it's super cool because we're kind of technology geeks. But are there people who might be reticent about that? I mean, do you think that there will be folks who are challenged by the fact that the floor might know where they're putting their next step?
I think that question can only be answered as you go in and have some conversations with the resident. But I think what's so ingenious about this product is it is invisible to the resident. And when you start to think about the amount of turnover we have of the workforce in these communities and how we struggle to, to find people that can stay and care for those environments, a tool like this, it encourages engagement between those residents and the staff when they need them the most, and brings that value proposition for that person providing the care closer to, a job satisfaction. I'm doing something at the moment that my residents need me, and builds that trust between them. So, the technology as a tool for that is really impressive.
I'm just blown away by it. I wish it were available even 5 years ago. I think it's going to help so many people stay safe. It's really quite a remarkable development.
I do too. And, we've talked about all the things that it will do, but, just like with Lisa, when we showed it to her, like she came up with, 15 other things that she could think about that would be just spectacular that she could use it for based on her own use case. So,
right.
So we're excited about the technology for sure.
I'm gonna move back only because our questions have asked us to move back. Dawn asks, is there any concern with VR technology causing additional eye strains? So many of us are on Zoom and computer for work.
It's not the eye strain because it's actually, you don't have to wear your glasses. It's kind of cool because you auto adjust and it actually acts as glasses. And wear glasses underneath there, but most people have found that you don't need to. It's almost like got glasses built into it. The strain is really more on the weight. We're not used to having that amount of weight on our head, and on our face, and on the workout components. You can get, like my husband does the boxing, and it's a harder workout than actually doing boxing because instead of hitting a bag, you're hitting all the way through. So the problem is that he's sharing mine and then it's sweaty, and so there's maybe some things about like germs and stuff like that you don't want to share it with somebody else from that standpoint, or they need to create their own guards. And then the other thing is, really the weight. Like about 2-3 hours for me, and that's all I can handle.
I wouldn't be able to do that much. So good for you. Yeah. They are heavy. I mean, they've gotten lighter weight. They are heavy. And certainly my son had, a set because it was cool. And I was, involved in the technology, and he liked it for a while, and then he tired of it. And he was more than happy to say, okay, I've had enough.
One of the big things now is it's not tethered, and that's with any technology. So let's see. I can't get it to show anyways. It's not tethered. So you used to have to lug around a computer. Now it's all with a computer. It's like Carrie's watches. You don't have to tie them into it. That old hard phone that was a landline that limited you. So now you can travel with it. You can do whatever you want.
Well, what do you think, given some of these technologies that we've been discussing already, what do you think the largest misconception about technology is?
I have two. I know
I want everybody to join in. Go for it.
So 2. One is that technology is something that you plug in or is electronic. That is not technology. Technology is by nature a tool. My glasses are technology. My car is a technology. My pen versus a pencil, a typewriter is technology. So I think when you have the mindset that technology is a tool, it could be something to get the, jar off when you can't do it. And that kind of opens up your mind to not be so fearful. The other thing is that somebody's floor is watching you and you're wearing a wearable, and so somebody's tracking you and somebody's this and somebody's that. Well, I got news for you. If you have a phone, it is on 24/7, even when you have it off, and it's listening to you. So you can just bust that little bubble. Nobody's tracking is doing more than what your phone is already doing, and you can have it completely off and it still is hearing everything. And you can look it up. This is legit. It is listening to you because it has to be able to do all the smart functions.
Well, yeah, because when you say to Siri, call so-and-so or give me directions to X, she's got to be listening.
Yes. So when you think about that, it kind of allows you to investigate these other technologies that you might perceive invade your privacy, but really your privacy was invaded about 5 years ago. This is now, do you want to have the technology to assist you to have a better quality of life? It's not about privacy anymore.
Right. Alicia, other gadgets?
One gadget that comes to my mind is it's called a liftwear, and it's something that you put on your hand, and it helps people that have Parkinson's or anything with shaking.
Neurological issues.
Absolutely, a spinal cord injuries, and it molds to your hand, and it allows it to conform to your hand so you can eat steadily with that.
So it minimizes tremors and that kind of thing.
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
cool.
Very cool device. And then back to your original question, I think one thing is seniors and elderly people not being able to adjust to technology easily. And we've seen that that's not necessarily true. It's just they need to have someone patient to work with them. They need ease of use and consumer friendly products, and everything can be adapted for the senior living market.
I think that's fair. Well, you can, you think about the watches, and for Lisa's parents to immediately know how to use them, and be excited about that. I think it tells a big story right there, because there's a wearable, a technology that's giving you all this information. And for people in their 80s to be able to adapt to it easily and, glean the information from it quickly is a remarkable thing in and of itself. I'd like you guys to all help me address this new thing called a care hub. This is something Amazon announced it within the last week. It's a launch that they're doing into the senior market specifically. It's part of the Alexa platform. It's called a care hub, and it's going to have more features that will hopefully enable remote connections and monitoring between older adults and their family members or their caregivers. Talk to me about what your thoughts are on this. We're going to get there. We're going to show you. So there you've got Alexa.
I think it's going to be a user-friendly, again, a consumer-friendly product that just allows people to stay in their homes longer, because everything is wrapped up into that device. You're able to call for help. You're able to call for food, call your family members, and interact with them via FaceTime or what have you.
Do you see a lot of seniors using those devices right now, Lisa?
No, they're not. I think it's going to change very shortly as the baby boomers really come on board with the technology. There's a little bit of a rub, is that as a late boomer, not me, but as a late boomer, I don't want to admit that I need anything, and I might not want to preemptively get it. And then as a non-boomer, older generation in their late 80s, 90s, they don't want to waste anybody's money on technology that can help them. So my biggest thing is, like, tell them you got it for free. If you say you got it for free, most of them will try it out and really get to enjoy it. And you also have to have something on there that they love. You know, the Alexa Care unit, it's great, right? But it's great a lot more for the daughter or the son than it is for that person, because it puts my mind at ease. So what that means is, what kind of things can they do on it that's valuable, like telling you a joke or connecting with me easily. It's a little bit like driving an automatic car. You know, if you drove stick and then you get an automatic, you don't really see a ton of value in it. But if you've never driven stick and you're like, I don't understand why they don't love this. So that's a little bit where the senior population is right now. They also, you know, it's a clunky thing. One of the great things that the designers did whether it was Edison or when the TV came out or the radios, they were gorgeous. They were like a piece of furniture. I don't know if you remember the old radios or the old TVs. They were beautiful credenzas with the speakers built into them. So it was meant to sit
But we're
in your
not doing
living
that
room.
anymore. We're
No.
not making things design forward. We're making them techie looking, you
Correct.
know. Look at the watches. They look like they're a piece of technology. They're going to tell you something. They're going to give you information. Carrie, do you think that at any point the watches would interface with the Alexa?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's the whole, the future is everything being connected. So even for us, for some of our wearables and our platform, you can connect things like a Bluetooth scale for people that have congestive heart failure and they have to be monitored overnight. But and in terms of aesthetics, I think one of the important things coming from the wearable space is that, people didn't want to wear things that made them look stigmatized. They wanted to look like everyone else. And why not?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, what age you are. And so I think aesthetics are very important.
I love
Agreed.
that. I love that.
Agreed. Do you think, Allison, that at any point that the floor could talk to Alexa too and let somebody know what's going on, whether somebody fell or somebody was in the bathroom too long?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that, we have an infinite level of possibilities in front of us to work against. So I think, imaginative minds will create the solution where there is need. So we're a very creative species. And I will comment something about the Amazon that I think is really interesting. I don't know if it's built into this device, but we use this for my husband's grandmother. And she, this particular device, it is the picture frame that she lives in Texas, we live in Georgia, and I can push photos to her that helps her feel connected. And so, we talk about all these super techie things, but you kind of almost forget sometimes, to Lisa's point, about those really ingenious little moments. And she can wake up every day and imagine, what will, my family in Georgia send me today for me to look at.
Oh,
And
that's really neat.
all of that remote.
So it makes it kind of a pretty looking docking station that also sends her positive vibes.
Yeah, for sure.
I like it. Well, I think that, the Care Hub making some news and splash certainly spoke to, more than ever before, Alexa's entry into the senior market, right? And so I found that rather interesting, because there's so many things that manufacturers bring to the senior market to make their lives healthier, better informed. And I think that this is maybe the tip of the iceberg. Whereas we thought that we were pretty informed and, we all had our smartphones and whatever. I think for the senior market specifically, because the needs are so vast, that we will see more and more technology to address each one of those elements. I kind of want to look at a what if moment, right? So what what would we like to see that we don't have yet? And Lisa, I bet you have an idea of what you think we should have.
Well, I've been thinking about it, and I think one of the comments was GrandPad has a wonderful user interface, and it does. I think our utilitarian things that we use that we're never going to get rid of, like a refrigerator, is a brilliant place to integrate a lot of technology. And Samsung has started to do it, but they've been real light about it. So, in my mind, the Samsung Hub, should also have specific compartments for medication and being able to store, your diabetes medication at the right way and get them out on the front side. It should
and
have
maybe even with
reminders.
it's time to take X.
Yes.
Yes.
It should have medication reminders. It should also video chat. The refrigerator in the kitchen has always been the hub in everybody's life. And that's one thing everybody goes to. I would like to see the appliances kind of shush together or be beautiful, like the old credenzas in the 1930s and 40s, or the 50s with the TVs and the speakers and all. They were just so sexy. Like, as a designer, I think that's beautiful, instead of having it more like a crock pot that you pull out and use and then you want to put away off your table.
Right. Anybody else have any futuristic thoughts on this? I think, if we can think it and we can even articulate it, we will see it. Beyond flooring, thinking.
Well, you do have Samsung that just came out with robots for the house to help you care.
Now, where was the robot that you showed, Alicia? Who was that robot?
That was out of Japan. Am I
That's
on mute?
Pepper.
No, sorry.
What is his name again?
Pepper.
There are so many out there that I forget the name of that particular one. But that one is actually providing an exercise program for the residents. So again, back to the labor shortage. So that's taking someone that would need to be in place doing that, robot doing and providing that service and program versus a caregiver.
I just think it'll be fun when we all have our own robots.
They are kind of cool. They're making them a lot tinier than us so that they're not as scary, which is a good idea, I think.
Well, this guy is evolved beyond R2D2, so,
Yeah, he can dance. He can do a lot of things.
Exactly.
Well, I was hoping that we would have some more questions from our audience, because typically we have a lot of them. The last one I have is more of a comment than a question. About GrandPad has a UI that is user-friendly for elderly. I don't know that everybody knows about GrandPad, so anybody who's really familiar with it might want to share a little bit of information about it with the rest of our folks who are on today. Does somebody want to talk about GrandPad?
It's a wonderful device. It's kind of like an iPad, but it's specifically built for you to connect with your family and do a lot of the interface. Loop has something. Alexa Care has something. There's a bunch of different kinds of pieces. I think what you need to just look for is what works for you and for a family. I've even heard that a lot of people are just doing a group chat. And they're making grandma and grandpa get on it and see every day and comment. So it doesn't have to be like high tech. It can be, in WhatsApp or a little chat or something like that. Also playing games on your phone with everybody. We play like guessing games and that are timed, and everybody can see it. And I find that older adults are usually a lot better than the younger adults at that, which is empowering.
They have more patience.
They do have more patience. Plus they grew up playing games.
Right.
And interacting with folks and going to card club, and those types of things. So I think anything that we can do with technology to, for Shaw's flooring or Carrie's wearable, when we're looking at something that can take away the burden, as Alicia said, from the caregivers.
Right.
You used to have to go to the hospital to get your oxygen level an EKG, to get your sleep. You'd have to do a sleep study to get your blood pressure and your heart rate. And now it's all on your wrist.
Right.
You used to have cameras and all kinds of other things and fall alert monitors and wire your whole, to do a lot of things. So now if all that can be on there and it can contact your daughter or a caregiver or the doctor or whatnot, the caregivers then and the family members can focus on soul care.
Right. Right.
Connection care, because those pieces are being taken care of and handled. And the metrics we know now, it's a lot better to have the data of the flooring or the data of the wearable, because it's not about the event. It's about what led up to the event.
Right. Right.
It is not about your blood pressure is high. It's how much does your blood pressure change in a short period of time.
Absolutely.
So, I think we need to, the whole data mining is such a powerful piece and gives us such tools and caregivers such tools and family members that we're able to actually positively change and maybe get better and need less physical health care. And we can be spending more time together, as a community and doing soul care.
Right. Well, I think that with all of these different products that we have talked about and shown and talked about what's coming, in the drawings that Alicia showed, that what's coming to what is here, that we're in pretty good order moving forward and aging, whether in place or in a community, that's for sure. I would like to thank everybody before our time runs out. One person who is not seen and not heard today is my partner in the Ageless Living Collaborative, David Ashen, and he helps us show the images and make sure that we're all coming through. Thank you, David. He's like Charlie's Angels, right? He's Charlie, he's behind the scenes. Only on these webinars, though, only on the webinars. But thank you so much for joining us today. Allison, it's been lovely having you as our guest. Carrie, likewise, I hope you guys will come back and join us again. Thank you, Alicia and Lisa. We wouldn't be able to bring this amazing content to the viewers and participants of the webinars without our outrageously talented group of collaborators. So we thank you. Anybody who wants to hear this or check out products that were mentioned on this webinar, please go to our website, agelesslivingcollaborative.org. You'll be able to listen to this and all of the other webinars we have done to date, if you have a whole lot of time on your hands. But more importantly, if you want to ask a question specifically to any of these products, do so, and we'll make sure to get it to the proper person who will answer it for you. Thanks again for joining us today. Next month, we look forward to bringing you our favorite tools. So think Oprah and her favorite things. We are going to have our core group of collaborators all come to the webinar with their very favorite tools for seniors. So that ought to be super exciting and fun. Thanks so much. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.